Ladies and gentlemen, I don't do this very often. Matter of fact, the last time I did a no sleep assassin rant was, pardon my French, BB23 if I'm not mistaken. Understand, last night was the first night of live feeds. Fans scrambled. It was a mad dash. Even I, to a certain extent, after my last rant last night, I had to go see these things for myself. Now, I stumble upon live feeds, and I'm already in the midst of an argument between Teddy Mellencamp and Todrick Hall. You know, and it's so frustrating. I need to speak up for every super fan, every casual fan when I say, production, you let us down here. Even if you gave us feeds one day early, we are a whole week behind on so much that is going on these feeds, to the point where it is damn near impossible to truly get people or give people the one-to-one analysis. But ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to provide this disclaimer, because I'm going to try my best to explain what happened over the last week of live feeds we weren't able to see, based off of all of the context clues, all of the nonverbal communication and body language I was able to read. And based off of a few things, I can surmise, I can jump to the conclusion that Todrick has fulfilled his destiny and fully evolved into Flopdrick. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, in the sixth rant of Celebrity Big Brother 3, entitled Energy Has Evolved, we will get down to breaking down why Todrick's jealousy of several women within the formation really is what led to him flipping. But most importantly, it was the idea that he was in Cynthia's shadow and he did not sign up for this season. He did not grift off of the cookout. He did not do all of these things to be in the shadow of anyone black. And I think this is the real reason why he chose to flip on formation. So please get yourself a cold beverage and relax, because I'm going to do my best job of freestyling and explaining to you all my interpretation of what happened over the past 24 hours of live feeds. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smid Dog Trail, the Rant God, Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, and the No Sleep Assassin, here to bring balance back to Celebrity Big Brother Season 3, US, all of the above, on that ISAT test, and ACT, you know what it is! And Todrick, you have fully evolved to Flopdrick, and the fact that all of the fans are seeing you for who you are, it's funny. I've been preempting and preparing the black women in my RBR patron base. I have been prepping them that Todrick is not going to be on code with Cynthia. I have been prepping the world that Cynthia is the real kingmaker. Cynthia is the one with the real juice. Cynthia is the one who can really play both sides. But you notice, in the edit, everything's about Todrick playing both sides and succeeding. Coming out of last night's rant, I wasn't buying any of that in the edit. And it's funny, because in less than 8 days, Todrick has managed to completely choke all the Infinity Stones that he had strictly based off of his sexuality at the start of the game. Understand, he didn't have to work for any of these privileges. He didn't have to work for anyone to want to work with him. All it took was for MIESHA being willing to work with him, and that caused a mad dash of people not trying to piss MIESHA off by accommodating to Todrick. Understand, if MIESHA wasn't the HOH, I don't think that many people would be kissing Todrick's ass at the beginning stage of this week in the first place. So understand, the way the story was told to us in the edit before we had any live feeds, we were told Todd and KRESSLEY are the only two players out of an available 10, because Todrick is the 11th, that did not work with Todrick so far. That means Todrick is working with the other 9 players. Well, 8 players. That means he's working with the other 8 players out of 10. Okay? That means he's batting pretty much 80%. In theory, he should be just as safeguarded and just as well protected and insulated as Carson KRESSLEY moving forward. But here's where I think MIESHA Tate, playing the Frenchie type game with her HOH week, deciding to force Carson into that forcing his round piece into the pegged hole of being that pawn. I think she put Todrick in a very precarious situation. She compromised this game by doing that, and she called his bluff and forced him to choose her side. Because think about it. If she doesn't choose Carson as that pawn, and instead, let's say she makes the original, let's say she throws up a KATTAN or a TODD in that spot. It's a completely different situation because the Formation Alliance don't have 2 members on the block, on top of the fact that the curse could force Cynthia into having blood to pick a different member just to save those other 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to give y'all a quick update. Carson KRESSLEY, conveniently enough, won power of veto. And based off what I'm seeing on the feeds, it sounds as if that could have been a rigged comp. Now, Carson, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt right now. But before the game, you're talking as if you can't lift anything, how your arms ain't strong and all this stuff. And see, now MIESHA believes Carson has played her because she was under the impression he was weak as well, which is why she wanted him to be the pawn. Now that he has won veto, she fully believes he threw the HOH endurance comp, which was the Winter BB Gala. So now a lot of information is coming out. Now MIESHA views Carson as a snake in the grass that played possum, when in reality, that's Todrick's game. He's the snake in the grass rat who played possum. There's a lot of projectionism going on, okay? I'm going to try my best to explain this. I'm going to be all over the place, but understand these feeds have been gold, okay? If you've canceled Paramount Plus, listen, I take back everything I said about this cast being mid. So far, they've been that pack, all right? That's all I got to say. They've been that pack, all right? So we have a situation here where Carson wins veto. He takes himself off. So, of course, Teddy Mellencamp is the one that MIESHA's going to pitch for to be the replacement now next to MARAI. Now, initially, MIESHA wanted MARAI to go over Teddy because Todrick snitched on MARAI. So Todrick being jealous of MARAI initially, playing a similar game to his, which is what I told you all last night, is what led them snitching on her. Well, we know that that's factual now because he would eventually become jealous of not only MARAI, but also Cynthia being closer to Carson, being closer to TEDDI. And now he's jealous of TEDDI being closer to Cynthia and Carson than he is. So I'm creating a narrative here that I hope you all are catching on to. Todrick is a man who came into this game saying he has problems with strictly straight men. But so far in this game, all I have seen is him grow jealous and resentful of nothing but straight women at every turn for the games that they are able to play that he believes he should be designated or privileged enough to be able to play before them. And it really comes off very spoiled, rotten from my perspective, okay? He is showcasing and exhibiting all of the worst behavioral patterns of Andy from BB 15, the racist season. And my problem with that rat type gameplay is it only usually works for moist men. Straight men usually always get judged way differently for playing like this. We get held accountable way quicker. Now, luckily, a season like this, with ties that are bonded way before the season have started, this is creating the bitterness that I told you all this season was bound to come with too. I'm seeing that BB22 bitterness kick in because, like I told y'all, there's a lot of pregame alliances here built around the RuPaul Foundation. But when a guy like Todrick, of all people, bucks the system, it makes Carson. And see, I told y'all, Carson was put in a position to question Todrick's loyalty because he's up in that damn HOH room with MIESHA all the time. But then she approaches Carson about how about you be the pawn? Wait a minute now. From Carson's standpoint, Todrick's game should be good enough to at least keep him off the block, even if MIESHA's HOH, because clearly MIESHA values Todrick's opinion. For Carson to not be able to avoid that block, him and the rest of those women had to jump to a conclusion that Todrick isn't doing enough for the formation to thrive. And when Todrick is spending almost 60% of the game, based off of the context clues I've read between the lines on, he's spending the majority of the time with MIESHA, not even with the formation. So you know what has happened during this time. TEDDI MELLENCAMP has been able to grow closer to Cynthia. Yeah, TEDDI, the one I thought was placed on this season to target Cynthia. Turns out her and Cynthia have gotten closer because Todrick failed to keep his bond strong with that original alliance. And it turns out because Cynthia included MARAI and TEDDI in the Gays and Girls Alliance so quickly, that's what made Todrick grow resentful of Cynthia. And he held a grudge with Cynthia because he felt like they should have consulted him before including those two women. Now, from a certain standpoint, I could see where Todrick's coming from. If I was in that alliance, I would want something to be ran by me first too. And if you go back and rewatch Thursday night's episode, it did seem as if Cynthia gave up the Gays and Girls Alliance a little too quickly. I mean, MARAI and TEDDI are standing in the showers. They bring up how they want to work with them. And then she immediately tells them, oh, yeah, we're working with Carson and SHANNA too. Now, I'll admit that was a little too quick. If I was Cynthia's ally, I would have preferred she showed a little bit more guile. With that said, though, she did it because she wanted to have the majority alliance. Having 6 numbers on day 1 with 11 people in the house, that's just smart gameplay. And when you can't really predict what MIESHA Tate is going to do, you got to do what you got to do. So, listen, I'm not blaming Cynthia because from my perspective, Cynthia has been doing everything I was worried she wasn't going to be able to do based off of the stories certain women were telling me coming out of Real Housewives of Atlanta. After watching Cynthia on these feeds, she is a very powerful player. People respect her socially and strategically. Carson relies on her a lot to smooth things over with Todrick, even when they not feeling Todrick no more. Cynthia, I'd argue, has somewhat of an unfair responsibility in this alliance, especially now that Todrick has bucked the system. Because Todrick puts a black stain, no pun intended, but he puts a black stain on every black person that was part of formation, and now Cynthia is the only black person left part of that alliance, which I argued initially was not in her benefit. But now it feels as if it isn't her benefit because Todrick made himself an enemy of the state. And see, that's another side of this, right? Todrick went from being part of a 6-person alliance where he wouldn't go home anytime soon to pretty much flipping, airing out some dirty laundry. This has led to some drama. I'm going to get to him and TEDDI in a second. But because he has flipped and this has led to drama, now him and MIESHA are the obvious targets heading into next week. And depending on how this curse goes down, I could create the argument that if Cynthia really wanted to get even with your goof-ass Flopdrick, she could just nominate you as the 3rd nom this week right now, and you could become the first boot. You feel it, dig me? Like, Todrick's actions are very weird because in theory, Cynthia could get even with him and turn him into the first boot and make an example out of him just for being as shady as he truly is. But let's get to the TEDDI MELLENCAMP of it all. Because TEDDI's beef with Todrick is centered around the fact that Todrick knew she was going to be the back door. Understand, TEDDI, we saw the deal that she made with MIESHA, which was under the principle that MARAI would be the target over TEDDI. So TEDDI is going into this thinking, all right, I'm not going to be the replacement nom, and even if I'm going to be, MIESHA's going to at least give me a heads up. And in worst come to worst, Todrick's ass, who's always in the damn HOH, is going to give me a heads up. Todrick didn't give her a single heads up, which showed TEDDI whose side he's really on. So then when they're clashing with each other, understand, Todrick's been avoiding her all day, like the plague, because he's a total coward. I tried to tell y'all this was the game he was going to play, man. I'm not this guy who stereotypes people. I legit heard some things because I have my sources. And my sources let me know that I have no reason to not feel the way I do. And now I'm being vindicated at warp speed. I'm seeing people come up with think pieces about Todrick and see it's because black women are seeing he ain't no ally to them. And see, that's the thing. If there's one thing I learned about sisters, you show them who you really are, they're not going to forget it. And Todrick, you had the benefit of being an honorary black woman this season based on how production tried to do your PR rollout, and you still managed to squander the Mon Juan there. You feel me? This dude is fumbling the Mon Juan at every turn, coach. Can we keep it a bean? Can we keep it a bean? He has been fumbling the Mon Juan, okay? Fumbling it. So TEDDI is telling this man she's straight up schooling this guy. She's going back and forth with him. I mean, they're verbally sparring. I'm becoming a fan of Teddy Mellencamp here because she's scalding with the T. She's sending him to the shadow realm. In the thumbnail, you see she's giving him that smoke. He's coming up with excuses left and right. He's trying to blame it on Cynthia. He's trying to blame it on Lamar and Todd. Are you noticing a common denominator here, black fans? Whenever Todrick's game gets aired out and people find out something about him being a snake, he tries to blame the other black people in the house for his own mistakes. That's a huge flaw in your character, my brother. Huge flaw in your character. It shows you don't own your game. And see, how's someone going to respect your game at the end if you won't even own it when you get got? And see, early on in the game, ladies and gentlemen, it is very important. It is very important for you to stay loyal to the people you make deals with, and you build off of that trust. That way in the future, if you do got to pivot, people will trust that new deal you make because of how loyal you were to the prior deal. But if you're willing to flip on people in less than a week, who's going to make another deal with you after MIESHA TATE is sent to the Shadow Realm? Todrick, you're not using your brain. And it's because I think you're playing an emotional game, not a strategic one anymore. I think you've lost the plot, brother. I think you lost the plot. I think you saw Cynthia I think you saw her snatching the Infinity Stone you would have of being able to play both sides. But the funny thing is, Cynthia hasn't really been playing both sides. Cynthia has been loyal to the formation. She just ain't after Lamar and Todd. That don't mean she's really playing both sides. Where juxtaposed to Todrick, who legitimately is in the HOH room with MIESHA all the time. But then, the minute Cynthia gets around MIESHA a little bit, Todrick gets jealous over that. It's as if the one friend I have, Cynthia's trying to take from me again. Like, bro, you sound like a true beta on these feeds. The way Cynthia's talking to TEDDI like, TEDDI, your family will be very proud of you for the way you've conducted yourself. I gotta tell you, you have never sold your soul at one moment in this game to win this game, and I can respect that. That's Cynthia subtly sneak dissing you, Todrick. She's saying the way you've changed up is you selling your soul for the win. And the saddest part is you're not winning this season because you've already ruined your reputation with the majority of the house. Carson KRESSLEY won that veto, and he's mad at you. Now, there's a chance he could pivot and work with you later and still want to go to the end with you because you're going to be way more hated after this if you make the end. But with that said, I think even Carson KRESSLEY's not going to want to reward you by helping you make the end now. I think you're royally screwed in every direction. Every direction. You know, I'm seeing people on social media say you took too much advice from Kylan because you don't know when to shut up. I'm seeing Xavier subtweeting Sneak Disha. I'm loving this X. See, X, he think I'm not going to notice it. I notice it because Todrick had a lot of sneak dissing towards X that X let ride. So this is the time to clap back, X. I saw a tweet on Twitter. X was basically saying, it really surprises me how people don't know when to just zip their mouth early in the game. Like, people just talk way too much. That was X letting you know, yeah, bruh, I've been seeing some of the shots you've been taking at me, and now that you're in a low moment, I'm going to send one back at you. Trust me when I say there's a lot of straight black male fans watching this smiling because we saw it coming, because we saw the hype job that Todrick was from day one. We knew he wasn't who was told to us that he... This man was being put in front of us like he was the prince who was promised. Like he was Azor Ahai. Shout outs to the Game of Thrones fans. This dude ended up becoming Reek. You feel it? Dig me. Tell me I'm lying, though. Tell me I'm lying, though. See, y'all can't tell me I'm lying. See, I'm spitting straight facts right now, dog. This dude has no spine, bro. He on the Hunchback of Notre Dame side of the game. You feel what I'm saying? And he gonna diss Cynthia, throw her under the bus with all these people, but then at the end of the night, he want her to do his makeup. Shit is just trifling to me. But I'm gonna stick to the strategy. All right? I'm gonna stick to the strategy. Just know, this dude looks like a total clown. So first he was jealous of MARAI, which got him to turn on her, which would have saved TEDDI's game. Then he ends up getting jealous of TEDDI, getting too close to Cynthia and Carson, but she got close to them because you were too busy hanging out with MIESHA trying to be the mastermind of the season. So these are self-inflicted wounds that he's figuring out a way to blame you for. This is narcissistic behavior. Okay, I need to drive this home. Okay, for the people who just assume that Todrick is being done unfairly, there will be some fans who feel that way because some fans believe if you're not straight, you should never be held accountable. But kudos to the fan base, because no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, you sit on, we all can agree Todrick flopped. But with that said, thank you, Todrick. You made these feeds sensational. But most importantly, thank you, MIESHA, because if MIESHA didn't have the heart to nominate Carson, we don't get this timeline. This timeline is next level. This feels like Loki season 2. You feel it, Demi? This is the second Doctor Strange film right here. It's lit in these streets, right? Now, so around 7:22 p.m. on cams 3 and 4. All right, this is BB time, California time, because I want you all to have this dated so y'all can go back and watch it for yourself. Now, feeds would be in and out during this 1v1, but I was able to gather some notes, and we're going to really connect some dots here. TEDDI is going 1v1 with Todrick, and she's bodying him. She exposed the fact that Flopdrick is working with MIESHA in a separate alliance to the formation. Also, I want it to be known that MIESHA tried to recruit Cynthia to work on her side of the house. Cynthia being loyal to the soil, something Todrick knows nothing about because he's only part-time pro-black, so I don't know how anyone expected him to be loyal to the soil to anything, but that's neither here nor there. My point is, at the end of the day, Cynthia straight up told MIESHA, look, I'm part of a different group. I'm not going to tell you who's in it, but just understand I respectfully decline your offer to join your side. Because in Cynthia's mind, she's not willing to do whatever it takes to win this game. Understand, every player is like got $100,000 for playing, and they only win $250,000 for winning. You virtually make half of the amount of the winnings just for being on the season. For certain players who are already getting paid a lot with Real Housewives of Atlanta and all these other shows, they're not willing to do whatever it takes to win because they actually have a life. And see, Todrick, he's the guy that has a tour to go on, but he's the one playing like he has no life. Like, this is his life this season. And the way he is willing to burn bridges with certain people, the way he's coming up with excuses like, oh, well, Carson's not the same guy that I knew before I came in this house. He's changed. He's become something else. You've changed a lot too, though, bro. Where's the self-accountability there? And I'm not even a Carson KRESSLEY fan. But you put me in a position where I got to defend Carson because you out of pocket? Man, listen, man, this is why this game's so good. At any moment, I got to defend someone I don't think I'm going to have to. Right? Like, listen. Oh, man. This is what we love about this game, man. But production, this is why y'all really fumbled the Mon by not allowing us to watch these feeds a week earlier than this. Imagine if I would have been able to know all of this context. Oh, man. You know, I'm talking all the facts as they unfold, all the fights. And also, it appears MARAI is being taken advantage of by certain men in the game. Now, I can't prove this or not, but there's something called Massage Gate going on. Look it up. I don't know. But, you know, it's up to me to throw these things out there so people are at least aware of these things so they can do their own research. Now, Todrick also knew TEDDI was the renom but didn't give her a single heads up, so he's already squandered the Mon in 8 days because he couldn't play both sides effectively. This really goes to show how great Xavier's game was, because understand, he had to play a cookout game, and then he had to play a Team Kings game, and then he had to play a normal straight black man's game. Understand, guys like Todrick downplay Xavier's accomplishments, but in 8 days, he's already completely fallen, completely choked under the pressure that Xavier played under for 90 days. So y'all need to understand it is levels to this, man. You know, it is levels to this. So TEDDI gives Todrick a lesson on how to play the game early. You have to lay in the bed you make and not be a rat if you expect to win it. Flopdrick's problem is he acts like other people around him are stupid. Like they don't know he has been kissing MIESHA's ass in the HOH, but hasn't kept being by any of his alliance members or kept any of his alliance members safe during MIESHA's HOH reign. I mean, let's be real. If you're part of an alliance, but every member of that alliance ends up on the block because of your friend, it's going to always look negative on you, my brother. You don't have no game. You can't protect no one. One thing that made Tiffany a good player, I'm going to give her some credit here. When her friends won power, she protected members of the cookout. When SB won power, Kylan protected members of the cookout. When DX, that counts as Tiffany's friend. But you get what I'm saying here, all right? When Frenchie won power, there were certain entities at play that protected the black men. So understand, you got to have people who are willing to risk their game to protect their overall win conditions that include you in it. Todrick seems to be incapable of risking his game for you, and yet he expects you to stay loyal to him even when you're with the enemy. Even when he's with the enemy. It doesn't make any sense, right? And that's what I need him to understand here. Now, he acts as if people don't know he has been kissing Miesha's ass in the HOH. TEDDI G-checked him strategically here because this whole situation baited Flopdrick into admitting he thinks Cynthia is more loyal to TEDDI and Carson than him. So now we see the real crux of all of this. He jumped ship because he felt like even Cynthia wasn't that loyal to him. So he's like, oh, hell no. I ain't finna take the backseat to no black woman. I was only prepared to take the backseat to Carson. That's basically what he's telling us. And he's telling us the real reason why he's flipping is because all these other people are higher up Carson's totem pole than him. So he took an offense to it as a gay man. See, you got to understand. I'm not going to go that deep. Y'all just got to read between the lines on what's really, the self-hate's real. You really got to peep game. And sisters, I warned y'all this would happen. So listen, this is further proof that I know what I'm talking about. Now, how dumb can a player be with so many options? He bashes the only black woman in the game as an excuse to divert from his own faults towards TEDDI. This proves he was jealous of all the women getting closer as early as MARAI before Noms. It happened while he was with MIESHA trying to play both sides. And now he's making the women who figured him out go out before MARAI. So TEDDI, because she figured out he must have an alliance with MIESHA, now he's trying to get her out. He's on a warpath. But in reality, he only wants TEDDI gone because MIESHA changed her mind to no longer want MARAI gone, and now she wants TEDDI gone. So when you really break it down, Todrick is just a little puppet for MIESHA. Because whatever MIESHA says she wants, she gets. And he never puts his foot down with her, but when it comes to the black woman Cynthia, he got all these problems. When it comes to TEDDI G-checking him on his mistakes, all of a sudden it's Lamar and Todd's issue. Telling you, this is his personality traits outside the house. Blame other black people for my problems. I'm telling you, a leopard don't change their spots. I told you this game reveals the worst part of you that you conceal the most to the public, to the world. It strips you down, all of your layers. That's what this game is great for. Now, so, yes, like I mentioned, this all happened while he was trying to play both sides. And now he's making the woman who figured him out go out before MARAI, who he now wants to save. His game is all over the place. TEDDI has a right to be mad because production will want to save MARAI at all costs now over her. And because of this curse, we don't know what Cynthia is going to do to possibly attempt to save TEDDI. And that's what makes this a lot more crazy, right? Now, feeds would go off for about 20 minutes before Todrick would appear again, but now with Kirk and SHANNA. Apparently, Todd Bridges is telling the house he is a soldier who is going to follow orders this week. Now, understand, the straight black men are sitting so good. Lamar Odom arguably is in the best spot in the house. Listen, no lies. Listen, that's why he's in the thumbnail coach sipping some tea. Life is easy out here in these streets. Him and Todd are sitting so pretty, it's insane right now. They're basically the swing votes of the week. They clearly see the formation is too deep. And because Todrick has already aired out the formation by flipping on them, they know that they are warranted in taking this shot at TEDDI MELLENCAMP over MARAI. And also when it's heavily implied that MARAI could be giving massages out to stay in the game, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't. And I appreciate the fact that the Cynthias of the world, the Shayna MOAKLERs, and the TEDDIs of the world are speaking on how the way MARAI is being treated to stick around is not a good look. And feeds usually cut when they allude to this, so this isn't a good sign either. Sounds like MARAI is being put in a position of psychological warfare where she feels like she has to give people rub downs to stick around. Listen, I'm just going to say the Bob Kraft of it all makes all of this very problematic. The Deshaun Watson of it all. That's all I'm going to say there, all right? So here we go. And now the whole house believes that Todrick may have a final two with MIESHA Tate because of how much time he's spending with her. And the house is also starting to believe that Todd and Lamar could have some deal with MIESHA Tate. So MIESHA Tate is starting to, it's funny, MIESHA Tate, her influence is so strong with Todrick, she somehow turned him into someone who no longer fears straight black men because he's virtually on the side of every straight man in the game all of a sudden. Isn't that weird? Todrick tells us before the season he clams up around straight men, and yet all it took was a whole bunch of women playing better than him socially, and all of a sudden he clings to being anti-woman. It's really weird, right? Now all of a sudden he doesn't clam up around any straight men. Oh, now all of a sudden he wants to work with Chris Kirkpatrick the most. He has Lamar in the tuck. He's MIESHA wants to work with Todd and Lamar, so he's cool with them temporarily. Now he's still throwing them under the bus to the Teddis of the world, trying to blame them somewhat for what he's doing. But with that said, it's very bizarre how much he has done a 180. Now, kudos for having some pivoting prowess and not being completely bigoted towards straight black men, straight white men. But with that said, your skill set was more conducive to working with the formation. You pivoted and flipped on them way too prematurely. And the side that you are currently on, Todrick, you are the biggest threat along with MIESHA Tate by far. They're going to pick off you two before anyone else, in my opinion, next week. I don't think anyone else that has thought of being on that side gets picked off before you two. And Chris Kirkpatrick could still get picked off this week in the perfect scenario if Cynthia makes him the third nom. So, in all reality, we're still in a situation here where, in theory, TEDDI and MARAI could still survive. That's important for me to mention. Todrick then airs out Carson by saying he isn't the same person in the game at all. SHANNA says she doesn't feel close to him, but I know that's gameplay on her part. SHANNA has been playing Todrick really well. She has Todrick believing she doesn't like Carson. And he lets her get that off in front of Kirkpatrick. That's when I knew, oh, SHANNA's playing a great game. She's playing a fantastic game. So salute to you, SHANNA. I'm noticing what you're doing. You're actually playing both sides in front of Todrick, who thinks he's playing both sides better than you. Listen, it's hilarious. All right. Now, in my opinion, Kirkpatrick could use this information regarding Todrick bashing Carson to pivot next week to get Todrick out, in theory. But I think for Kirkpatrick's game right now, he actually needs the MIESHAs and the Todricks to be a shield for himself. So that's why this is all very unique, which is why I think Chris KATTAN and Chris Kirkpatrick this week are probably going to vote together with MIESHA's side just for this 1 week, and that's mainly because Chris KATTAN doesn't get along with TEDDI MELLENCAMP, and that's who they want to go over MARAI. Also, Chris KATTAN seems to be fairly close with MARAI based off the episodes, based off the feeds, so this does add up from a continuity standpoint. So we are collecting data very rapidly. But then Captain Kirk made a mistake by implying Carson winning veto ruined the week because the decision would have been easier for everyone with Carson as the pawn still. Todrick also snitched on MIESHA for wanting Cynthia to nominate Kirkpatrick with the purse power, as Flopdrick called it. I got to give Todrick some credit, though. His read on TEDDI being secretly super close with Carson is spot on, and I called that on day one myself, so it's good to see he at least notices who the threats are. Because Brandy was super close with Ross, it only makes sense that TEDDI would be super close with who? Carson. What I'm most confused about is Todrick trusting SHANNA enough to say all of that in front of her. I can see Kirkpatrick and MIESHA Tate entertaining him, but you would think he wouldn't include SHANNA in it out of fear of her snitching on him. So now we can confirm Todrick, knowing Carson before the season, has created an inner conflict in his decision making of going against him because it made everything harder. And because we also know his main vitriol is centered towards the TEDDI, Cynthia, and Carson trio. For whatever reason, he separates SHANNA MOAKLER from that trio, but SHANNA's part of that quattro. That's a foursome. You see what I'm saying? Mariah's the one on the outs with that group, not SHANNA. For whatever reason, Todrick's read on SHANNA is very off, but I think it's pretty much on point with everyone besides maybe Cynthia. So it's really weird, right? It's really weird how when it comes to SHANNA MOAKLER, he's unwilling to call out her. He's unwilling to hold her accountable to the same level as TEDDI or even Cynthia, right? So he puts SHANNA MOAKLER on this weird pedestal that I can't explain. This should mean Todrick and MIESHA are the biggest targets of the house theoretically because all of the damage Todrick is responsible for doing towards Cynthia, Carson, TEDDI, MARAI, and SHANNA's games this week. Kirkpatrick appears to be playing both sides seamlessly, even though he works with MIESHA and Todrick. He seems to be sitting pretty well, barring Cynthia going after him with the twist. And right now, if I'm Cynthia, taking the shot at Todrick is the only move that really makes sense here. Because right now, Kirkpatrick isn't your enemy, you know. But does Cynthia want to use a twist to get out a black man week one? Does she want that on her conscience? I think Cynthia is even too nice for that. And that's the one saving grace in your game here, Todrick. The fact that Cynthia isn't willing to step down to the dirty, gruesome, um, trifling levels of you. That's the only thing saving your game this week, brother. I gotta be honest with you. It's the fact that that sister she has an unfair responsibility to not do you dirty like someone white would do your goof ass under the same circumstance. And because of that, she's still doing your makeup. She's still being nice towards you. She's still being cordial to you, even though you're trying to ruin her game with all the mistakes you've made by proxy. And KATTAN appears to be close to Carson as well, despite not liking TEDDI, which could mean that KATTAN wants her out to get him and KIRKPATRICK aligned with Carson down the stretch. So understand that could be a play here. Why KATTAN doesn't get along with TEDDI. Maybe he wants to have Carson to him and KIRKPATRICK at a certain point in this game. Maybe they want all the white men to stick together. Who knows? All right, these are just theories at this point. But KATTAN really does not like TEDDI. He really works well with MARAI. In theory, TEDDI leaving allows KATTAN to maybe pick up MARAI as a loose end. Maybe they could use MARAI. I'm talking about KIRKPATRICK and KATTAN themselves. Who knows? And with Todrick telling way too much information to too many dangerous players, the Shadow Realm awaits him before jury. And LAMAR is sitting arguably in one of the best spots in the game. What a season we have on our hands here. I said Todrick would end up jealous of Cynthia, but even I didn't expect it before week 2. This is astonishing. I also expected TEDDI to be a threat to Cynthia, but it turns out she is one of her closest allies. SHANNA clearly was playing Todrick when she said she has never trusted Carson because she hangs with the formation the majority of the time. It appears KATTAN is the perfect spy for KIRKPATRICK as he stays closer to MIESHA's side. In theory, KATTAN and KIRKPATRICK are the most dangerous right now because they are in the middle of two sides that are forming. I'd argue it's TODD and LAMAR in the middle. It's KATTAN and KIRKPATRICK in the middle. And I'd argue everyone else is really on a side. The way this is looking, well, I'd argue MARAI is in the middle too now at this point. It's really 5 players in the middle, and it's MIESHA and TODD on one side, and it's another 4 on the other. It's Cynthia, Carson, TEDDI, and SHANNA on the other. Really, that's how I see the game. It's 5 people in the middle, MIESHA and Todrick hurting their games on one end, and then it's the other 4 who have gotten their games kind of exposed that have to settle things on the other end. So if I'm the 5 in the middle, listen, I don't want MIESHA or Todrick to go anytime soon because they keep the 5 in the middle alive. They keep them from being targeted by that 4. You at least technically want to dwindle down that number of 4 down to 2 before you allow MIESHA or Todrick to go next. But one could create the argument if you allow that 4 to dwindle down to 2, MIESHA and Todrick become too strong by then. So you might have to cut at least one of them before you let them get down to 2. I love this game. I love this. I love this game, man. All right, so it's a lot of different ways this game could shake out, all right? And see, y'all getting another rant tonight, by the way. All right, this is just a live feeds update. I just want to have y'all fully equipped with some things, and I want to make sure that the rant tonight doesn't have to be super long. So in theory, KATTAN and KIRKPATRICK are the most dangerous here in the middle. So it's Carson, TEDDI, Cynthia, and SHANNA versus MIESHA, Todrick, basically, with KATTAN, KIRKPATRICK, TODD, LAMAR, and MARAI kind of in the middle. Now, MARAI's on the block, so she's not really in the middle. So it's really LAMAR, TODD, KIRKPATRICK, and KATTAN in the middle. That leaves LAMAR and TODD as unlikely swing votes during a week. Both were expected to be easy targets. This is not only a W for straight black men, but it also speaks volumes for how staying out of the way and being unproblematic and being perceived as GOATs in the game can do for your game if egos happen to clash early among other players. Todrick, ironically, is on code because LAMAR will likely side with him and MIESHA over the other side. LAMAR picking Carson with the Manwan sorting hat was proof enough of that, so there you go. LAMAR ain't scared of Carson. That was clearly strategic on his part. He wanted to make sure he wasn't safe all week. And let's be real, if LAMAR doesn't do that, maybe Maybe Carson is the one who gets the bag over his head, and maybe he never gets nominated. So at the end of the day, all of these things play a role in this week. Now, understand, Lamar isn't scared in these streets. Maybe simping over Chloe was a strategy to disarm these women into believing he wouldn't be problematic. You know what? Maybe Lamar is next level. I don't know, Cody. I know people are salty in these streets, and I'll own it. I was wrong. That boy was last place in my WTF. Damn. You know what I mean? It's letting it. He came in the house last. Damn. How did he do this? This is unheard of. This is unheard of. Damn. I see it now. I want to see what he was doing on them fees the last 7 days, because whatever he was doing, he's playing the Godfrey game. He's staying out of the way, and he's on no one's radar, and I think he's here for the long haul now. So let me find out Lamar hit these girls with the mouthpiece. Now, when TEDDI tells Cynthia, Carson, and SHANNA about how the conversation with Todrick went, she said he had first tried to blame playing both sides on Lamar Odom. Wow. So you're jealous of him too now, Flopdrick? Like, really, you gotta understand the pattern here. Every time someone is playing better than Todrick during a specific day of the week, he decides to blame them for everything. Well, turns out Todrick also told TEDDI he never wanted her and MARAI in his alliance. To be fair to Todrick here, Cynthia did out the alliance a little too fast to MARAI and TEDDI, which I already mentioned. If I was Todrick, I think I would have been a little suspicious about that too, but that still doesn't warrant his actions towards his original alliance, and especially it doesn't warrant his actions towards the black woman. At the end of the day, Coach, what you did to her was just dirty, bro. It was dirty. You took your crayons, you took your toys, and you went home. You didn't stay for the rest of the party. You didn't even eat any cake. You feel me? You got a little boo-boo and you ran home. All right? It's sad. All right? Now, he clearly didn't work out sound reasons for the decisions he's making, telling me his game is more emotional than logical. If he was going to blame stuff on Cynthia and Lamar to TEDDI, I really don't understand Todrick's moves, because doing that implies he isn't working with anyone black to deflect from being the worst black player. See, I'm saying stuff y'all not going to peep for a while. Pay close attention to that quote. Pay close attention to it. If Todrick was going to blame all of this on Cynthia and Lamar to TEDDI, I really don't understand his moves here. Because doing this implies he isn't working with anyone black to deflect from the fact that he is the worst black player of the season. These are facts. And keep in mind, he needs Lamar and Todd to be loyal towards him, but he basically called them dumb by implying they're incapable of talking game with MIESHA in the HOH room. I haven't seen a case of someone self-harming their game under their own delusions of grandeur since maybe Frenchie from BB23 like this. But at least he was the HOH when he did it. Flopdrick is adding pressure on himself to now be forced to win next week's HOH, or he is likely on the block next to MIESHA Tate. Then Cynthia admits she had to take one for the team because Todrick blamed her the most for including MARAI and TEDDI in the alliance. According to Todrick, Cynthia told MIESHA about the formation, but in actuality, Cynthia alluded to being part of an alliance but did not specify who was in it. This is an important dichotomy because it proves Todrick overreacted to Cynthia being allowed to make decisions over him in the formation. That's what this is all about. If I had to guess, Flopdrick turned on Cynthia because he thinks she purposely tried to compromise him with MIESHA Tate on top of her getting more preferential treatment from Carson within the formation. Apparently 2 days ago, he wanted MARAI to go home and now he wants TEDDI to go instead. And even though he kept trying to throw Lamar and Todd under the bus for some of this, TEDDI refuses to buy it because TEDDI is a good player. And honestly, TEDDI's reads are so good, it kind of justifies why she needs to go before MARAI. As a solid analysis of this game, I can't talk myself into why she needs to stay over MARAI here. Because she's too good. Now, for entertainment purposes, I want TEDDI to stay 100% over MARAI. But if I had it my way, both of them should stay and Todrick should be gone as the third nominee. Listen, I think he's made his bed. Pun intended, because that's what TEDDI said to Todrick. You made your bed, you got to lay in it. And I think he's made his bed, and I think he deserves for the Shadow Realm to await him. But I just don't think Cynthia is going to do that. For the optics, I don't think Cynthia is going to do that. You know, she would be stooping down to his level, and she's a little too classy for that. So Todrick's go-to move is to blame the straight black men for his mistakes while hating on Cynthia for actually playing well, and I'm not supposed to believe he is anti-black. Even though being on MIESHA's side for now makes him on the side of the straight black men, he's not going out of his way to be on the straight black men's side. He's not covering for them when he speaks to other non-black people. So that tells me he's still off code. He's just in his feelings. That's what it is. Also, apparently, Todrick wanted Cynthia to leave the formation to join MIESHA, but she told MIESHA she couldn't do it because she was in a different alliance, and now Carson views Todrick as a coward that ran for the hills as soon as it got uncomfortable. Man, if Carson wins HOH next week and he targets Todrick and MIESHA, feeds gold. I love gold. Oh, man, this is getting good, y'all. And now Carson views Todrick as a coward, like I said. Cynthia, for one, finds it rich that Todrick is painting her as someone that wants to work with MIESHA when Todrick is the one sweating her all the time. So it appears Todrick is a specialist at projecting his own flaws onto others as a coping mechanism. Oh, we breaking this man down to the T. Cynthia is visibly sad in the hot tub about this to the point where she is accepting this as what will hurt her game the rest of the season. She tells TEDDI around 9:49 p.m. that her family will be proud of her. Then she sneak disses Todrick by saying at least she didn't have to sell her soul in this game. That speaks volumes about the nonsense Todrick must have been up to when feeds were down. I'm disappointed in production for not giving us these feeds earlier. We missed out on so much intel. Cynthia says she wants to win, just not at any cost. Todrick blew up Cynthia's whole game just because she was closer to everyone in the alliance. MIESHA is the only person Todrick feels put him above everyone else. That's really what's going on. Because MIESHA makes Todrick feels as special as Carson made him feel on day one, he's decided to flip on Carson and work with MIESHA. He's all about who makes him feel the best, right? Even if context suggests at that moment they can't make you feel the best because it's a team, Todrick believes he should always be the star of the team. He doesn't believe he should ever have to take less shots per game for the team to win more games. He's what do they call him? He's a usage merchant. He's a usage merchant, huh? He's a turnover ratio merchant, huh? He's the type of dude who averaged 30 a game but turn it over 8 times and he'll hide that stat from you. Be like, hey, man, who cares how many times I lost the ball? Talk about how many times I scored it, though. But how many times did you give the other team a fast break to catch up? You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you can't stop a nosebleed, who cares how much you can score? I want someone who's going to give me a net positive, not net negative. And all the baggage Todrick comes with is not worth the positivity he may bring to the game. Look, from a physical standpoint, he looks like he's going to be a comp beast. I think him working as hard as he did in that competition, it may have earned respect from MIESHA. It may have backed her up. But I think it also put a lot of people on alert. And then when you're also proving from a social strategic standpoint to be untrustworthy on top of being a physical threat already, you're proving yourself to be an all-around threat to everyone in the game, not just the people who don't like you. And that's the miscalculation that Todrick isn't grasping. So this game, man. Now, Kirkpatrick has already told MIESHA he would like to vote to keep TEDDI because it's the right thing to do. This is what Cynthia wants as well, but I think Kirkpatrick will eventually vote TEDDI out. Cynthia tells Kirk that she expects MIESHA to come after her for not joining her side, even though she is safe this week, regardless of the curse. I forgot all about the curse in all of this. In theory, Cynthia could use the curse to take out Todrick, making these wild moves from him before the curse happens even more stupid. TEDDI has one wish, and that was to not get backdoored, but it appears that is what's happening now. TEDDI is sad about this because she offered MIESHA Tate a deal twice this week, and because she thought them both being mothers could bring them closer, but it never did. Kind of sad, to be honest. Todrick is clearly rattled. He is out here at midnight bragging to MARAI about how he was chosen for Celebrity Big Brother 2, but he turned it down. If you turned it down, why'd you have to clout chase off the cookout to get on this season so bad? We don't believe you. You need more people. See, this dude, he thinks we were born yesterday. You need to lay off the drugs, Todrick.
Drinking. Somebody been smoking and drinking. Somebody been smoking and drinking. Somebody been smoking and drinking.
I'm just saying, man, I don't know what he's talking about. How if he would have had the chance to play with Jonathan Bennett, Tamar, and Candy, he would have enjoyed it far more because it would have been two black women he could trust. This is a subtle dig at Cynthia Bailey if you pay close attention. Huh? So what are you saying? Cynthia's not black enough to work with you? Oh, I think she's black enough. I just think she's so good at the game. She's so good at the game that you decided, you know what? I'd rather no black person win than you win, Cynthia. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like the inner Tiffany kicked in. And that's his friend. So listen, I'm just telling y'all, I'm seeing vibes here. Vibes FC. It's funny, when you see these same qualities in someone who isn't a woman, now I see women noticing these qualities being problematic. This is all I tried to tell y'all last time. This is all I tried to tell y'all. You feel me? Like, I don't say these things to piss nobody off. I say these things because they're true. Now, TEDDI and SHANNA are trying super hard to work LAMAR into keeping TEDDI, but he is wisely downplaying how much power he and TODD have this week by playing dumb. And they've been kicking it a lot with MIESHA upstairs themselves. They're masterminds at work. TEDDI and SHANNA want Cynthia to nominate Todrick with the curse because KATTAN would be a waste of a move. At this point, it seems to be between Todrick or KIRKPATRICK who is going on the block tonight with the curse that Cynthia has at her disposal. So who will be thrown up there? I'm not sure. But if it was up to me, if I had to put some money on it, it's going to be most likely KIRKPATRICK because I think Cynthia does not want that weighing on her conscience to do Todrick like that week one, even if he deserves it. But granted, if Todrick does some more crazy stuff on these feeds prior to tonight's episode, the Shadow Realm could await him, and none of us will have any sympathy for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts on this rant? All right, did you enjoy it? Did I give you a lot of information in a relatively short amount of time? I didn't want this to eclipse the hour mark. Did you enjoy my sixth rant of Celebrity Big Brother 3 entitled Energy Has Evolved? Did I do a good job of explaining how Todrick flopped here? Understand, this is only me going off of one night's of feeds, but I try my best to give y'all the type of authoritative analysis to the point where it feels like I've been watching feeds for the last week. Hopefully I did my job. Hopefully I did it well. If you could, please don't forget to like this video, comment underneath it, and share with all of the fans of Celebrity Big Brother 3 that you rock with. And I'll see y'all later tonight. All right? Deuces. And have a great Friday. Until next time. I am inevitable. I told y'all Flopdrick would evolve.